Before we wander on into the episode, I just want to make sure that everyone goes out there and hits up the YouTube, check out the Spotify, check out Apple, wherever you're listening or watching to this podcast, is to go down, like it, subscribe, hit the bell if it's YouTube. Make sure you're getting those reminders. We do put these out every week. So make sure you do all that. It helps us out. And in the long run, we can make better things. So again, like, subscribe, all that fun stuff.
We can wander our way over, because this is Wandering Ways.
What's Bigfoot possibility?
Clink.
Link. What's up, everybody? It is another episode of the Wandering Ways podcast. It's me, Reverend Mark. How we doing? As per usual, with me is the late Ranger Zach. How we doing, Ranger Zach?
Late. I'm not dead yet. Um, no, I'm good, man. I'm good. We're just living the life, making a trailer. No, we're renovating a trailer, making it a little bit better. Spending a lot of time in the garage. Got to see the Blue Angels yesterday too. Got to see those airplanes perform. They came to Billings, so neat. Uh, it's like 40 some $1,000 an hour for them to do their thing. It's like tax money, just like that. American pride.
Yeah, I've learned that that they also do that because they have to get so many hours in the
I
air.
know, and I'm sure it's good training because you're going to all the different places too. Because you're like you get different winds in Houston, Texas than you do Billings, Montana. You know what I mean? Like you learn different into the water and all the different stuff. Plus, I mean, when you watch them fly, it's really cool and like they're some of the best. You know what I mean? Because if like you're able to take a jet and like stall it out in air and crash dive and do whatever, do what they're doing and fly like this close to one another. Like damn, like that takes some practice and some talent.
It does. It does. Although, I've seen Top Gun, so I think I can do it.
Like
Um,
AI's got
but
it.
what's that?
AI's got it. They'll take
Oh
care of
yeah, 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 yeah. AI. I mean, that's what drones are essentially.
it, right? No, exactly.
So, uh, I mean, other than the trailer and the Blue Angels, you got anything exciting going on?
Oh, what have I? Well, disagreements with Matt, but that's to come. That's always to come. But no, we're just living life kind of over here. I mean, I wanted to go up to the Beartooth yesterday, but or today, I guess. But I was just spending the time kind of do my own thing. Working on the trailer, like I said, and just kind of hanging out. Jared came by. Just that guy wanted to come by, hang out this weekend. Probably got to go and do a top 5 Yellowstone episodes with him. We were talking about that. We are talking about like, what are the top 5 things in Yellowstone for you? And then let's just go over it. Let's talk about it. And he's like, hell yeah, sign me up. So might see one of those coming here in the future. But just preparing. Got the powwow coming up. Got some other shit coming up. Gonna be out in Oregon, so always exploring.
There you go. Yeah, I might actually. I'm not sure yet. I have to look at the schedule, but or at my schedule, but I might actually be heading to Humboldt this weekend. Go see the red big old trees. It would be a short trip. But anytime seeing the trees is a good time. So
Yeah, no, always. As we've talked about on this podcast, man, we see him multiple times while we've been on this podcast. So it's exciting to talk about that. Maybe when you get back, maybe do talk about a little bit what you did, what you don't do, what you wanted to do, and what you did see. You know what I mean?
yeah, a lot of it depends on who's doing what on what days. So
Yeah.
it's kind of like a 40-60 on it happening right now, which is kind of a bummer, but I hope the odds are in my favor as they say on. I'm pretty sure that's a movie quote. Don't know which movie, but pretty sure it's a movie quote.
The Hunger Games.
Could be it. I don't know. Haven't seen it. Um,
May the odds ever be in your favor.
yeah, yeah, could be. I don't know. Is that the movie about Joey Chestnut, the guy that eats all the hot dogs, the Hunger Games?
Yeah, right. No, it's that Katniss Everdeen, your girl, J Lawrence, man, Jennifer Lawrence.
Jennifer Lawrence. Yeah, haven't seen it. Oh, those are books. I haven't read the books either.
Right.
But no, we're
It's
not here. We're not here to talk about who's hungry or who's playing a game. We are here today to talk about more national parks, continuing on the trail of alphabetically ordered national parks, heading down to Florida to good old Dry Tortugas National Park. Don't let the name fool you. It's not dry.
no, it's wet. It's very wet. It's an island, man. Um, it's out there. It's in Florida. It's doing its thing. It's the 50th national park in the Sunshine State of Florida. It was established in 1992, but I think I have read a little bit about this park, and we will get into it a little bit today. But it's kind of one of those ones that has changed hands in its past.
It
Kind
has. But fun fact, I've been alive longer than this park has been a national park.
of, ooh, I
I've been
haven't.
it's a month, but so I've been around longer than this has been. It's been a national monument a lot longer. And it's been around a lot longer than I have been around. But since it's been classified as a national park, I've been alive longer.
Well, and it takes a little bit to get to.
Yeah,
You
that's true.
got to take a boat or a seaplane.
Yep.
It's going to cost a little bit, but that's worth it. That's what these newer bougie parks, these millennial parks, as Mark's saying, this is what they act like. This is what you got to do with them. Got to pay a little extra to get there.
Yeah. Going to the name, why it's called Dry Tortugas. It comes from two separate factors. There's no freshwater sources on the Keys within the park, causing early explorers to label the area as dry Tortuga. And then Tortuga is a Spanish word for turtle, there's five different kinds of turtles located within this park. So essentially, all it really is saying is saltwater and turtles.
And I'm about it. I'm about the turtles. So why not?
I
I'm
am
for
too.
it.
This one is mostly water, so the big thing to do here would be like snorkeling, scuba diving, um,
Well, in
which
the
I'm
history,
sure would be an absolute blast.
right? Yeah, and you hear because is it you hear about the Florida Keys and the snorkeling and like it is a larger reef and you do get to see some really cool stuff and we do need to protect where we can protect. So it's good that you do have a place like this where it is protected and run by the national parks. You even have the history side of the fort itself on the island that's kind of built there. You can go kind of do the history shit too that people are into.
Yeah, Fort Jefferson is what it's called. Um, which it's kind of cool. It was used as a prison during the Civil War, as a war prison. So I'm assuming it was the South that had it since it's in Florida. So if the good old boys in blue were taken by the boys in gray, they were taken out to Dry Tortugas. And Oh, it'd be interesting to see what life was like as a POW during the Civil War. Because it's your kin, the same people. So, did they torture you? Did they treat you like shit? I don't know. Haven't read any books on it.
Well, I'm reading here, right? Dry Tortugas National Park now protects the stout brick hexagon of Fort Jefferson, standing 45 feet tall with a circumference of nearly half a mile. This imposing bulwark guarded America's trade ships from pirates of the Gulf of Mexico through the later half of the 1800s. During the Civil War, Union forces also used the isolated location of this Florida Key as a prison for deserters. One famous inmate was Dr. Samuel Mudd, who had bandaged and splinted the leg of John Wilkes Booth immediately after Booth had assassinated President Lincoln at Ford's Theater. As a prison, Fort Jefferson was difficult to maintain. No fresh water was available on the island, and tropical storms wreaked havoc on the fort's exterior. The archipelago utters lack of fresh water earned it the unfavorable description dry. So, kind of there's a little. So it was Union.
Yeah, that kind of surprises me because it's so far south, you know?
Right. But I mean, Florida's, you got to think about where the Union was and how they were able to establish some of those larger cities, like the trade cities and stuff, and have control over.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's surprising when you think you hear north versus south and you're like Florida Keys, it's pretty south.
No,
So
exactly. But they're working their way north.
this is true. They are. They are working their way up that far north. Um, you know, it'd be interesting. It'd be interesting to go check out the fort and that. I mean, this part of the country in general has a very interesting history. Just because one, it has American history, but then two, well, I guess technically it's still American history, but like it has all the pirates and the fishing and stuff. And it's got, the Spanish explorers coming over too. So it's got I think I saw, where did I see this? Yeah, the area possesses one of the richest concentrations of shipwrecks in North America. There's nearly 200 ships sank in the surrounding waters before and shortly after the construction of the Garden Key Lighthouse in 1825. This includes several vessels from the famed Spanish gold convoy of 1622. Submerged artifacts include anchors, cannons, pottery, and other maritime items. Who knows? Maybe you probably can't keep it. Probably a big old no-no, because you shouldn't take anything from a national park. But who knows? Maybe you can find something and you can get it put in the museum and go, hey, I found that. And it's right there.
Right, right. Definitely look at the rules ahead of time, like you're saying, because it could be a big no-no to take anything. They might want to preserve some of those shipwrecks, or like you say, maybe there are some things where it's like, oh yeah, if there's gold, bring it back to the museum because they want to clean it up and display it, like you're saying. So definitely talk to the rangers beforehand, look at the website beforehand, and see what that is. Um, I saw that and I was thinking about kind of the histories, like you're saying, when you look at like a park like this, because you have like the US histories. But you also probably have, because of how old it is, you probably have like the War of 1818 with Britain, probably have some of that history as well with the fort. And then you have, like you're saying, right? Like it was Spanish owned, it was French, Florida was French owned at one point. Uh, Now in modern day, you have a lot of like the Cuban history and the Dominican Republican history, the Haitian history, the people who journey over and kind of what Florida has become. So you definitely get that change of history. So these places have really seen different hands over time. And then, like, again, Key West, Florida, right? So how does it look in comparison to some of the other surroundings in Key West, right? Like how well is it taken care of as a park? There's a reason it's a park.
Yeah, right. This got a lot of the reasons to become a park. It's got the historical, it's got the beautiful nature, especially the coral reefs. Anything in the ocean is especially fragile nowadays, especially nowadays. So, you know, and this is just a quick glance. It hits all the check boxes of deserves to be a park. So I can only imagine going there and seeing it for myself, going like, oh, now I really see why this is a national park.
Well, it's interesting too because I'm reading here, right? It even played an important role in the Spanish American War. Another one of the most interesting yet little known Dry Tortugas National Park facts is that Dry Tortugas and Fort Jefferson played an important role in more than just one American war. In January of 1898, the USS Maine weighed anchor near Dry Tortugas before heading to Havana. While reaching anchor in the Cuban harbor, it blew up and sank. 255 men were killed as a result of the explosion. The United States blamed Spain for this tragedy, moved to recognize the independence of its Cuban colony, and immediately declared war against the Spanish. During the war, Fort Jefferson served as a military hospital. It also served as a supply base for American forces headed to Cuba. The Spanish American War ended before the year was over with the defeat of Spain. Cuba became an independent nation in 1902. Fort Jefferson was also used by the military during World War I as a seaplane base and a wireless radio station. Its harbor was used during World War II by torpedo boats, minesweepers, and a convoy escort vessels to protect against the threat of German submarines.
That makes
That's an
sense. So no, I
yeah,
mean, ton of history. I mean, I'm sure, and I'm sure there was, well, maybe not, just because of when it became like a national park and timing. I was going to say maybe during the Cuban Missile Crisis it was used, but
right,
you know, it probably they probably didn't use it during that specific time period. Um,
right. It was yeah, just change of hands. You look at I don't know if you've ever been. I've been to what's that fort there in Maryland, where the Star Spangled Banner was written.
oh, I don't
That
know.
Frick, Fort something. There's so many of them. But that one is kind of cool, and I think like going there, that feeling because of kind of how it's built out on the like peninsula that they built it on. I could see probably where like an island base, like this one, kind of like by the pictures, kind of looks like that in a way to me.
Yeah.
And I'm all right, like I can get on board with this. Like I can kind of start to see kind of that. And then when you think about the tropicalness, like you're saying, added onto that, like even the coral reef, because like if there's a bunch of boat wrecks, they're wrecking on something. So like cliffs and stuff, so it looks cool, man. I mean, I, I think when you look at Florida, this one is on the top of the list because you just hear and see good things. But I think you have to tie it all into a larger Florida trip.
Oh, yeah. I totally would make it a longer trip by going down to do like dry tortugas, the Everglades, and then oh shoot, what was the other one we did? Um we did, it was another
Congaree?
tropical
No,
most.
not Congaree. It was that other island. Biscayne.
Yeah. Yes, Biscayne. That one. I would do all of those in one Florida swing. I mean, if I'm being honest, Dry Tortugas is the only thing that's taken me to Florida. So it's got
I don't
that
know.
going for it.
The Everglades, I think, would be neat.
I do think the Everglades would be cool. The Everglades have the issue of everyone in Florida dropping their pet pythons off in the Everglades. They've seen like a drastic drop in small rodent populations. I think it was like an 80% decline in small rodent populations because people go out there just to hunt the pythons. And they're encouraged to do it because people are just literally dropping them off.
That's wild, man. That's shitty. I mean, that's why we can't. That's why we got to watch ourselves with the animals. We move places. It's crazy. But I
It
do want to see
is.
that. I do want to see the Everglades. Yep.
Moving back to Dry Tortugas, pirates and privateers used the harbor at Dry Tortugas. Just when you thought we couldn't come up with a more unbelievable Dry Tortugas National Park fact, The Spanish were not the only ones interested in dry tortugas. The Spanish, French, British, and the Dutch fought to control the lands and seas of the Caribbean. And this created an opportunity for pirates and privateers. For over 300 years, pirates and privateers, private vessels composed of mercenaries that were hired out to different countries, attacked and robbed treasure from the merchant ships heading into and out of the ports along the Florida coast. After these vessels attacked and took their treasure, they would sometimes try to elude any pursuers by escaping into the shallow waters of the Dry Tortugas and the other Florida Keys. Florida even has its own history of pirates who tried to attack Spanish vessels to steal goods on board. Well known pirates like Sir Francis Drake, Robert Sorrells, and Harry Jennings were among the first pirates to leave their mark on Florida's history.
Oh yeah.
Which, the amount, the number of if pirates and privateers are using it, trying to evade in the shallow waters, it makes sense why there's over 250 shipwrecks and a lot of treasure in this area.
Right. That makes you want to find like the private areas to scuba dive and find not the private or the pub, where you could take treasure in this area,
I think
like
technically you're not, even if you find it like not on national park land, I think you're technically not supposed to like take it because it's considered historical. Um, and I say that because, fairly recently they found that Spanish vessel near like Astoria Seaside, the one that the Goonies treasures like made after, like that. That all went historic, like monument or historic in the museum, all that. And the guy that found it isn't allowed to keep any of it, even though he found it, reported it. He's
wow.
not legally allowed to keep it. I have heard rumors that he has taken a couple things from the ship as memorabilia of him finding it. Um, and thus won't say names, even though I don't remember the guy's name. I've been told his name, but I don't remember his name. So that's just good. Keeps him safe.
No, it is, and that makes sense. I mean, I wonder if that's like an Oregon law or like a U.S. law, right? Like, because
It's
yeah,
a US thing. I
it is.
remember I remember hearing the story because it's kind of a shitty deal. They don't give you anything for finding it. They're just like, "Oh, cool, thanks. We'll take it all now."
That's kind of fucked, but it's the
Yeah.
world we live in, right? Choose to live in. No. Anyway, another not so fun fact, right? Kind of sad. Is that the seals living there were Caribbean monk seals, which once ranged throughout the Caribbean Sea. Unfortunately, they became a rare species as they were hunted and caught for food. The last confirmed sighting of this creature was in 1952. In 1996, it was declared to be extinct, and this island used to have a ton of them.
Yeah. That's that's sad. But it's pretty on brand for us as humans. So uh can't say I'm too surprised by that one, unfortunately.
Right? It's just sad, is what it is. But
Yeah.
you move on, you figure it out, right?
Yeah, it really is. You kind of wish. I haven't seen, I'm sure the numbers have somewhat grown and they are kind of back, but they're definitely not at the numbers that they once were. Um, we mentioned it before, but sea turtles make their home at Dry Tortugas. So when Ponce de Leon and his crew arrived, they marveled at the presence of so many sea turtles. The low sandy islands of Dry Tortugas actually make excellent nesting places for these creatures, which is why they are so plentiful. While there are only 5 miles of sandy beaches that provide a suitable place for turtle nests, they happen to be among the best nesting areas in the Florida Keys. And the temperature of the sand helps to determine the sex of the turtles. At a temperature of above 85 degrees, the eggs are approximately evenly divided between males and females. Higher temperatures increase the number of females, whereas lower temperatures increase the number of males. So, fun to know that because global warming is going to be a thing, there's going to be a lot more female sea turtles probably in the future. So that'll be fun to see, the climate impact that has on the sea turtle population. Just more ways for us to kill them.
Right. It's yeah. I mean, you're not wrong because it's just interesting because it's like they're going to start finding places like that, but then what happens when like those places change? Like it's because it's like this. There's some of these last places. These are our last resort. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's sad, but it's cool that the turtles like this spot. Apparently there's also crocodiles here.
Yeah, of course. There's crocodiles. I'm sure, down there, there's those ferocious animals they call gators and crocodiles.
Yeah.
But you probably see it in a while. Um,
They have crocodiles, they have corals, they have nurse sharks, they have reef fishes, they have the turtles, like you're saying. They have about 300 bird species. So it's a good birding island if you're into that, which I know some of you are. It also has some threatened and endangered species, um, including various species of turtles, sea corals, and birds. So definitely be aware of the endangered species and what our impact could do to those species.
yeah, 100%. I mean, 99% of this park is water. And it's not a big park to begin with. It's only 101 square miles, so approximately 100 square miles of it around there is going to be water. I know you mentioned it was an island, but it actually consists of like seven little main islands, comprise just 1% of the park. The islands are Loggerhead, Garden, Bush, Long, and Hospital Keys, as well as the East and Middle Keys. Um, so most of it is, being that water, you're going to see a lot of coral reefs, a lot of marine life. And it doesn't surprise me that there's a bunch of birds around this area. Um, marine waters tend to bring a lot of birds because access to food.
Well,
There
especially
are a lot
protected
of marine
land,
birds.
like the protected land around those waters, like you're saying, like where they can come nest, and they even you can see here on their website, they have the national parks website that is, like they have closures and limited operations for power boats in certain areas. Like this one's for Garden Key, closures on parts of Garden Key and Loggerhead Key. Bush Keys closed for birding nesting season. So some of these are for, I'm sure, the turtles and all sorts of animals as they come on through. So definitely keep mind, where you can park, where you can't park, where you can and can't go. Because like you're saying, this is a lot of water. So if you're arriving by boat, in your own boat, you know where to go.
Yeah. No, that's actually very, very good to know and make sure that if you are going by boat, be smart.
In need of LED lights for your vehicle? Look no further than our friends at Oxteo, keeping our vehicles well lit while on the road while looking for Bigfoot. Make sure to use code RUGARU, RUGARU, on your next set of LED lights. The Wild West is full of dangers, from snakes to bears. The outdoorsman must be prepared. That is why when you experience rivers like the San Juan or the Yellowstone, you must bring a blue ribbon net. Handcrafted and biodegradable, these classic wooden fishing nets are all you need while on the river. Make sure to use code RUGARU10 when checking out at Blue Ribbon Nets. Again, the code is RUGARU10. RUGARU10.
Alrighty. Dry Tortugas, lots of fun, lots of cool shit. Turtles, we love turtles, we love birds, we love animals. But most importantly, it's full of cool shit like the next part of the podcast, because it's my favorite part of the podcast. Cool shit in nature. So, got some fun doodles, some fun ones up for you. First one coming at you is a good old silverback gorilla basically stopping his buddies from fighting each other.
In a zoo.
I know this, it wasn't a zoo, but I feel like this happens in nature as well.
Well, yeah, I'd hope so.
Yeah,
Oh,
but
just
I mean, it's wild. I mean, that guy, he grabs him and then he just like right here, he takes him and he's just like, yo, cool your shit. We don't need to be starting anything.
well, especially because that other one's got the baby on it, or on its back.
Mm-hmm. He's like, hide your kids, hide your wife. If you fuck with them again, I'm coming for you. Because
He
we
really
don't do
did.
that shit around here.
He put him down and just told him up, told him straight up.
Yeah. You know who needed gorilla looking after him? Harambe.
Yeah. Well,
R.I.P. Harambe.
they killed him. They murdered him.
They did. They did. Moving on to the next one. This next one, I've sent it to you. And honestly, I've been every time I see anything involving Patagonia, which is where it is, um, I'm just gonna keep sending you them because I just want to keep sparking this as the next place we go to. So, anytime
Yeah.
I get a Patagonia thing, just be prepared to get it also there, Zach.
That's fair. Patagonia or Japan, man. Honestly, I just had a conversation with a friend, Chance, about going to Japan. And he was like, take me with you, man. I know what to do. And I was just like, your budget's also way higher than mine. So
Right.
I was like, yeah, not happening, but maybe we'll see. I'll let him know when we go. But
I mean, if he's willing to share the budget, you told me the budget he had for Iceland, and I was like, holy shit.
7 times our amount.
Yeah, I know, which is wild.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's all right. Well, I guess that's what you get for selling art.
Yeah, I guess that is.
When you're good at it. When you're good at it.
Yeah.
Um, well, bringing us back to Dry Tortugas. Subpar parks with Amber's share. We got nothing to do but walk around.
Nothing to do. Most of us call this exploring, and I'd be more than
Yeah.
happy to just around this remote island and historic port. But if walking around isn't your thing, given that it is an island, you could also lounge on the beach, snorkel, kayak, swim, or even scuba. Heck, boat.
Yeah, right. There's plenty of stuff to do. You can do more than just walk around. Fun fact, there's actually a campsite at Dry Tortugas. It's a small one, but it is right next to good old Fort Jefferson. It would probably be kind of cool to camp there, not gonna lie. It's first come, first serve, no reservations. So make sure you get there to claim your spot.
Not the only thing I heard too that you need to be early at, right? Is the boat terminal if you're taking the boat to the island.
Oh, yeah,
They
that would make sense.
plan to get to the boat terminal well before 7 a.m. just to be sure you aren't late. That is the check-in time. It departs at 7:30, and they are not going to wait for anybody. People say get in there about 6:30 just in case you run into any issues. But that is something. One, camping. The tip. Crazyfamilyadventure.com is who I'm getting this tip from. Ideally, we'd recommend you go and camp for a few nights. If you take the ferry over, you can camp on the island, like you're saying. You'd have to pay for it, and prices vary based on when you go, but it isn't much more than the tickets to get there. Totally worth it, they say. There's also a link where you can do that. They have on their website. There is no running water on the island, so come prepared. The website does a great job explaining things you should do if you plan to camp.
Yeah, water would be the biggest one, since there's no running water and there's no fresh water close by. So, if you camp, you're definitely gonna have to make sure you pack water and lots of it.
Yeah, no, and I mean that's something that we've learned on our trips. I've learned for sure. More and more water. You can never have enough water.
Hydrate or dihydrate, gang. It's a lifestyle. That's what I
It
always
is.
say.
It is, and it's a Reverend Markism. Another cool thing, and this one comes from my secrets of the national parks, right? And this one's talking about the coral reefs. Okay. Some of North America's most pristine coral reef clusters around the low-lying islands of Dry Tortugas. Ships carrying everything from Spanish explorers to coffee and tobacco used to get tangled in the seven sand and coal islands about 70 nautical miles from Key West, Florida. So it's not a surprise that this park is both naturally beautiful and historically significant. Visits often start at Fort Jefferson, one of America's largest masonry-built forts. Snorkelers at Dry Tortugas, which is only accessible by boat or seaplane, need to wade into the water to see purple sea fans and brain coral, along with the blue-head rice and rainbow parrotfish. Less known is that this is also one of the country's best places to see wild conch. The giant shelled mollusks populations have shrunk, but here they still crawl among the seagrasses. So if you want to see conch.
Yeah, it would be kind of cool to see. I mean, the shelling's popular in Florida, when we were talking to Rachel about all the shelling. So I'm not surprised that you can see wild conch
Right.
there.
No, I'm not either. There's a lot to do and see at this cool park. I mean, you got a lot. Some facts. I got a facts page pulled up. More than 80,000 people a year come to see this spectacle. Um, it was 1992. That's it. They don't got a lot of facts. It's not a big park.
No,
It's a single
no,
fact.
it's not a big park. I mean, it's only again 101 square miles, so there's not a lot there. Um, the A fun fact for you, though, the lighthouse on Loggerhead Key, although currently inactive, once held the brightest light in North America. Some
Wow.
also claim that this lighthouse is further from the mainland than any other lighthouse in the world, at more than 70 miles from Key West and more than 100 miles from mainland Florida. So if you
Wow.
like lighthouses, which Zach, I know you do, this could be the place for you.
And I was looking at that because you're talking about the Loggerhead Reef and the Windjammer site, which is another cool thing you could check out while you're there. South of Loggerhead Key, the site was discovered in 1971 by an archaeological survey crew. It was not until 1990 that the vessel was identified as the Norwegian Avanti, which sank on January 22, 1907, while en route to Montevideo, Uruguay from Pensacola. The Avanti, originally named the Killian, was an iron-hulled three-masted ship built in 1875 by the British company John Reed and Company. It had a length of 261.4 feet, a beam of 39.3 feet, a draft of 17.5 feet, and a gross tonnage of 1,862 tons. The Avanti is an important example of a large sailing vessel built relatively late in the age of sail. It combined smooth and traditional architectural lines with newer, more durable building materials. The development of the iron hulls in the mid 1850s offered ship designers significant new possibilities. Iron hulls could be built much larger and cheaper and had greater capacity than wooden vessels of the same dimension. and were far more durable. Importantly, the use of iron contributed to higher profits, a crucial factor in the highly competitive shipping industry of the late 19th century. Even these structural breakthroughs could not postpone the inevitable. When the birth of the steam propulsion and the age of sail was rapidly coming to a close, large sailing vessels like the Avanti were some of the last tall ships built during a romantic age of sail. The vessel was carrying lumber when it was lost. However, the events of the wreckage are still unknown. NPS maritime archaeologists speculate that the vessel was lost in a storm, the wreck divided into two main wreckage fields. The bow portion lies in the east-west direction and is approximately 110 feet in length, and the midship, stern, mizzen, and mainmast structures lie in a north-south direction and also roughly 110 feet in length.
That's a fun one.
Just a cool thing, you know. Just like
Yeah,
the
I got a question for you involving this park. Let's say you're going in the summer, nice weather, whatnot. Would you be just okay with snorkeling around, or would you go and get scuba certified to scuba dive in Dry Tortugas?
that's something I would like to do. I think getting a scuba license, it would be worth it just to be, it's just to up your game. Plus you could stay underwater a little bit longer, I think. Which is something I'm about. I would like to explore more, because like that was the whole thing when I saw the turtle that time. Um, I was like out far, in deeper water, and that was something I wanted to do from that coral reef in Hawaii. So I would say, yeah, I'm down. I would like to get scuba certified. There is a place here in Billings I can do so. I really think it'd be cool.
Yeah, I think we mentioned quickly the Florida, like if we went down there, the Florida like hit Everglades and then Biscayne. Um I think probably not the Everglades, but between Dry Tortugas and Biscayne, it would be worth scuba certifications. Because then you almost turn it into a big old scuba trip, where you get to go and really see some cool shit.
Right. No, I think that would be a thing to do for us when you're talking Wandering Ways, Zach and Mark trip for sure. Because like I'm looking at like a lot of the other stuff, right? Like so it's like boats. So there's a lot of rules and you got to get permits and stuff if you're going to bring your own boat there for where you can park and where you can't park. There's like, yeah, like you're saying, the swimming, snorkeling, and diving. It's like, yeah, I think getting out there and actually being able to see some of the like neat stuff would be worth it. I mean, I would invest in like a water camera system for my camera probably if that was the case too. But then I was also looking at like something that I think I would want to do there that you might not be also into, but the fishing. Go
Yeah, I
fish.
had a feeling you would probably bring that up.
Yeah, I mean, why not, man? You can go fishing. You can catch some big fish down there. Florida's known for fishing.
Yeah, I mean it is, those big marine fish. Everyone always talks about catching tuna, and then it's the fight of your life when you catch a tuna, especially if it's
Right.
one of those big old yellowfin ones which would be wild. Um,
Yeah.
because some of those fish are huge, and then you have the sailfish. Those are
Yeah.
massive ones as well.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I sent you that video of that guy pulling that fish up on his kayak. It's crazy ass motherfucker pulling up a sailfish. Probably down in Florida doing it too.
I
Like
know he's pulling up a fish that's bigger than his damn boat.
onto the kayak. And you're like, dude, what are you doing? You're gonna tip
Yeah, how are you
yourself
getting?
in.
They ended it without showing how he got it. Like, did he let it go?
I think
Did he get like how did he get it back to the shore if he kept it? Like, I had a lot of questions that they just didn't show.
yeah, I think he did let it go. Just based on like how you handle a situation like that, you got to throw it back. But that's definitely something I'd want to try. I'd want to try and do that. And I think, yeah, those tuna. I mean, you can watch that wicked tuna that they go fish those bluefin tuna up in like Boston, out there in Boston fishing in Massachusetts out in the water in the harbor.
Oh, 100%. I know a lot of people that will go like um out off the Pacific Ocean tuna fishing. So if I've talked to a lot of people who have done that, and they always go like, you haven't had a fish fight until you've fought a tuna on the reel. So
Um, it's not technically a dark sky park, but it does have good star viewing.
that kind of makes sense. I'm not surprised that it's not a dark sky park for some reason. Um,
Right, but you can still see them, which is good. It does allow that.
mhm.
But it makes sense. I mean, and they talk about the pollution, light pollution, and different things as well. It's a beautiful. I mean, it's a beautiful place. It's on the list, but like we're saying, because of where we're in the absolute exact opposite corner of the United States, essentially, and I think about that, and I think about, like you're saying, we're going to have to do this in a trip. It'll have to be a bigger trip. We'll have to get scuba certified. It'll take some planning because, like you said, like the other thing too, that you have to book these trips. You have to
Yeah,
book
this
the
is one
ferry.
where I think you plan a little bit more than others. Um, you know, if you go to, we've thrown out that New Mexico kind of southern Colorado area. Like if that was, you're not putting in the same amount of trip planning for that one, or
Nope.
even like a Sequoia Kings Canyon there, Death Valley, you're not putting in the same amount of planning and preparation as you do for this one down to Florida.
Right. No, exactly. Because you're going to have to book times. You're going to have to book, a Death Valley. It's like, I would hike this trail when I want to hike this trail.
Yeah, right. And for like Death Valley, biggest thing is making sure it's not too hot when you go to Death Valley. Um,
Yeah, right.
yeah, so when you go to Dry Tortugas, you're like, all right, well, the plan's to go scuba diving. Okay, well, where can I go scuba diving? Do I have to go through a service, book things, and then you got to make sure you make the ferry over to Dry Tortugas there at early in the morning. So that in
Oh,
and of
exactly.
itself makes this one, even if you're just going to Dry Tortugas, to go to Dry Tortugas, there's more planning in it because it's hard to get to.
Okay, so with that being said, because there's two options, right? The seaplane, which is about an hour, and the ferry is about three, they say. And I'm just guessing that the ferry is cheaper. I think I did see that, where the plane is more expensive. Money, no option. What are you taking?
Money no option. What are we doing? Are we just going to explore Dry Tortugas, or are we doing like
Yeah,
scuba or
but
snorkeling there?
between the plane and the ferry, I guess it's just one or the other. Getting there,
Well,
doing it
I get that part, but if you have to bring more equipment, I think it's probably easier just to take the ferry. Um,
right. Where if like you're renting
so
equipment or whatnot, the plane.
or if you're just gonna walk around and maybe just snorkel at Dry Tortugas, then maybe you take the plane because it takes you to have less to bring, um, and so it's just easier to travel by plane at that point.
That makes sense. Makes
Yeah.
sense.
So that's how I would answer it. I mean, money, no problem. The plane, because it's easy, it's way quicker, but
Right.
if you got more stuff, you probably want to take the ferry because they probably limit you weight wise on what to
Probably.
bring over when it comes to a plane.
No, you're probably absolutely right. Didn't even think about that. Didn't even cross my mind. Plus, I think you'd see more on the boat.
Yeah, I mean,
I mean,
who
you'd
doesn't
see,
love a good boat?
but I'm sure you'd see some cool, like the pods of fish and stuff sometimes in a seaplane if you're flying at the right altitude, because you don't fly too high.
Yeah, oh, the plane would be really cool because you're gonna be able to see things from above. So you're gonna be able to see like if you see dolphins or something, you're gonna be able to see them. You're gonna be able to see massive schools of fish, and then because down there the water is fairly clear. You can see the different kind of shapes of like the underwater environment, where it's like, okay, here's sandy, then oh, check out, there's that coral, that kind of, there's the loggerhead key, and so you can see all the different kind of more of the environment and the habitat ecosystem differently than you do from a boat. The boat, you're going to get great views, I think, but you're not going to get the water views as much, like into the water.
Right. No, that makes sense. I feel you. And it's probably a boat that goes on the same path, so the animals avoid it.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I mean, that's Dry Tortugas there for you. But we are coming up upon our time, so that means it is time for final words. Final words, my guy.
It seems like you're in a singing mood, which is good. That means it's a happy time. It's a good time. It's a good podcast. Talking about Florida, talking about traveling. You hear a lot of people talk bad stuff on Florida. Here we are talking good stuff on Florida. Definitely go check it out. There's good in everything. But I want to go check it out. This is on my list. I mean, we got a long list, let's say that. And there's a lot on there. We'll see it all one day, maybe not, who knows. We're just checking it out, and you need to go check it out. If you're in the area, go check out Dry Tortugas. These places are protected for a reason. It's a national park for a reason. And that should be alone what you need to have to see to go and see it. So that's pretty much it. I'm going to get out and about. I got some projects to work on. I'm going to be traveling when I can be and exploring when I can be, and I hope you have a good time down in the redwoods, Mark.
Reverend's final words of wisdom. Say beautiful, everybody. I can't tell you how much I appreciate every single one of you for sticking around, listening, and all of it. I do hope I get down to the redwoods. There are a couple things. I think I just saw a schedule that got popped out, so might be able to find out a little bit more. Lot more moving pieces for me this time of year that limits the stuff that I can do, because I'm one of the busiest people out there, not gonna lie. So but anytime you can get outside, even if it's for a little bit, even if it's a little walk through the local park, it makes it all worth it. Especially when the weather is nice or not smoky or not burning everything, because it's so gosh darn hot. But with that being said, peace out, everybody.
Bye.